Hello. In the world of programming languages, Python stands out as a versatile and beginner-friendly choice. Its simplicity, readability, and extensive community support make it an ideal language for both newcomers and seasoned developers alike. Today, we're diving into the world of Python, focusing specifically on the random module and if-then statements through an engaging game. Hopefully, by the end of this journey, you'll not only grasp the fundamentals, but also witness the real-world application of these concepts through our guessing game. Now, before we start the game, let's ensure you have the right tools at your disposal. Whether you're using a Mac, Windows, or Linux system, Python is easy to download by going on the official Python website. Simply type in python.org, as I've done here, and go to downloads. Now, it should say download the latest version, which is Python 3.12. I already have it downloaded on my MacBook, which is the system that I am using, Mac OS, but Python is easy enough to download for all systems. If you are having trouble, I would also recommend going to Kinsta.com, specifically this article here, to see a more in-depth version, or watch a YouTube video for a more visual tutorial for your specific system. So, now that we have downloaded Python, going right here into idle. Now this is just a shell, and I want more of a file, so I'm going to write here on this tab, new files, going to save, and give my file a name. So I'm just going to make it easy. Guessing game, save. I already have a game, game file, so I'm just going to replace that one just to show you. Okay, so now that we have our file, I am going to import the random module. In Python, the random module is a powerful tool that introduces an element of randomness into your programs. Python uses libraries and modules to not only make it easier for the programmer, but also reduces the amount of work you do on a project because other people have already done it for you. Now let us type it in, which is import, and then random. Okay, so now that we have that here, let us go into the next line. And then start by defining our function. Now, a well-structured program begins with a clearly defined function. By writing in def and giving it a name, we establish a modular and organized way to write out our task of what we wanted to do. Giving it a name that relates to your program works best and lets you keep in track. So in the case of our game, I'll be writing my function as guessing underscore game. So now this function takes no parameters, so the parentheses in this case will be empty. Then I'll be typing in a colon, which then leads us to the next line. Now, right here, I'm going to write a comment. A comment has no effect on the code itself. It's just more so a note for the coder, just to see the steps that they're following and making sure that they are keeping track of what they're doing. So I'm just going to write a comment here. Generate a random number between 1 and 10. Okay, so now that I have my comment here, I am going to take advantage of the random module to generate a random number between 1 and 10. This step introduces variability to our game, making each round a unique experience. I'll create a variable, and essentially a variable is a container that stores a value. Now going into the next line, I am going to give it a name that again relates to your code to make it easy. So I'm going to write secret num here. That is essentially just the variable. And then an equal sign to assign the data to the variable. Now I will be typing in the name of the module, which is random, and then a dot followed by rand int. Now rand int allows us to randomize numbers between a certain range and is part of the random module. Now our range will be from 1 through 10, so let's write in the parentheses here like so. So it's 1, comma, 10, that will be our range. And now that we have that, I am going to the next line, writing another comment, because a good coder writes comments for their code. I am going to write a comment, oops, sorry, as initializes attempts. Okay, so now that I have that, like in any game, keeping track of progress is crucial. Now, initializing attempts allows us to monitor the player's performance and help store and manage the data within the program. Now, let's write a short name for a container as going to the next line. Now, the short name will be keeping it easy and writing attempts, and then setting it to 0 like any start of a game. So now that we've done that, let's display a welcome message. Going to the next line. Now let's write another comment, welcome message. Now, a warm welcome message sets a tone for an enjoyable experience. In our game, a message not only enhances the experience, but also explains the game and any possible instructions that you would like your users to follow. Now, typing in print and a parentheses with your welcome message works best in this case. I will type in print and then I will write in my string. Now, a string is always in quotation marks. So my string in this case will be welcome to the guessing game. Now I'm gonna write a exclamation part just to make it more fun. So now let's close that string and then close that parentheses. So now then I will write another print statement on the next line just to make it look a little bit nicer. And same thing as well. Print parentheses and then quotation mark, start of my string. And in this line, I will write my directions. Now I'll type it in here as I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Can you guess it? There you go. Close it up and then close that as well. So now that I've done that, let's start off our game loop. Now, we want to iterate through multiple rounds. So let's type in while true. So why do we do this? The while true statement is used to create an infinite loop. And if the condition is true, it'll keep going until it exits due to the conditions that we have set. So now that I've done that, write a colon, gonna write another comment. So then this will get user input for the guess. Okay, so now that I've done that, so now that we have done that, go into the next line and ask for user input that makes it interactive with the users who play it. One thing to remember about Python is that indentation is key. Without indenting your code properly, your code won't work. So making sure that it looks like this, as is set up like that. Now that it's like that, write in another name like guess. So this will be another variable. And then write in int. Now I'm going to put int here, meaning that the type of info that I am asking for from the user is number and nothing else. Then another parentheses, I will put in input. Input essentially allows this to be interactive and have people write down their answer. And then another parentheses. Just gonna open that up. And then write another parentheses, then another string, just so that people know what they are doing. Enter your guess, add another colon just to make it look nicer, and then closing that with double colons, just so that each colon is met with another one. Sorry, another parentheses. Okay, so now that I've done that, I am going to go into the next line, writing another column, another comment, and then I'm going to write increment the number of attempts. Going onto this line, again, I'm going to use the same name as I've done here, just that they both are the same. And then, just to make sure that the program is actually recording and adding the number of attempts that the user is taking to guess the answer. Now I'm going to write the same variable name like I've done so right here. We use initialize, and then putting in the plus and an equal sign, and then a 1 so that every attempt is stored when the user types in their guess. So now that we've done that, I'm going to write again another comment and then check if the guess is correct. Okay, so now that we've recorded the guesses, how do we see if their guess is correct or not? Python is pretty easy to see if variables are equal or not through equal, less than, or greater than signs. So this is where if-then statements come in handy because they essentially set the conditions that we want to meet. Now let's start with checking to see if this is equal. Let's type it in as next line. If guess equals, then write in as if our guess is equal to the secret random number that it has produced. Gonna write another colon right over here. So now, if they are equal, we want to give the user a congratulation statement and also tell them how many times it took to answer. Now, I write another print statement. Essentially, it's just print, and then I'll type it in as congrats, just to make sure that they just give them a congrats, just to tell them that they finished, and then I'll write in you guessed the correct number in curly braces attempts. Okay. Then I'll close up that string. And then I'll type in dot format. And then attempts. Actually, I'll just make that a little bit bigger just so you can see. Okay, so the dot format makes it easy to place our value in the placeholder of the curly braces, our value being attempts that it takes. Now that we've done that, on the next line, I'll type in the break statement, which essentially lets our program know that it has satisfied the condition and stops the loops for us. Now, you're probably asking, what if the person doesn't get it right? How do we help the user? Now that's easy. It's essentially the same format as the statement above, but instead of congratulating the user, we want to give them a little help if their guess is too high or too low. If the first statement isn't true, we'll write elif, short for else if. I'm going to type that in along with our guess being smaller than our attempts. So we're going to write it as, again, guess is less than secret num, add another colon, and on the next line, I'm going to give them another print statement, essentially helping the user. So I'll write out my print statement as too low, okay? And then just give them a go ahead as try again. Close that up, okay? And then help the user try again if they need to. Now, if their number is too high, I'll do the same thing as a too low statement. I'll print else. Else being if the condition is again false with the colon just like before. I don't have to type in guess greater than attempts because else is basically the last option. So all I have to do to type in the next line is just the print statement. So I'm going to do that and I'll write it in as print to hi. And again, try again, just letting the user know that they have to do again to guess correctly. So now that I've finished my code, we do want it to show up in our shell when we run our file. So let's just call the function that we just created by printing it out. I'm going to go down a couple lines just so that I can easily tell the separation, and then type in print. And in this parentheses, just write the function name. So I'm just going to write the name of the function. So it's guessing underscore game, just like so. And here you go. So now I am going to run the module, be saved, and then here you go. So I'm going to test it out for you. Too low, too high. So now it's between 1 through 5. And there you go. Congrats, you guessed the correct number in 5 attempts. So you can test it out, and do remember that if your code doesn't work, look it over. Might not be the fun choice, but checking for proper indentation and having your variable names written properly if you're using them more than once is important. By doing that, it prevents any unwanted message from popping up when trying to run your code. If there is no error message and your game works as intended, then congratulations on completing your guessing game. By exploring the random module, if-then statements, and a game-based approach, you've gained essential knowledge in Python. From downloading Python to crafting a working function, you're now equipped for more exciting coding adventures. Hopefully, this is a road to wanting to learn more about your Python and the practicality of understanding program language. And so to cap this off, I would like to say, happy coding.